Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn GSP with Mahesh. Today we'll discuss about the pros and cons of using Deployment Manager. What is the advantage? What is the drawbacks of Deployment Manager? We'll see today. Before we get into that, what is Deployment Manager? In one line, if I want to explain Deployment Manager, it is GCP's infrastructure as a code. If you want to deploy or provision resource, simple resource, it could be very simple as virtual machines, and you want to do it repeatedly, multiple times, Deployment Manager is the right choice. Or the complex steps is in scenarios you can create the entire project, the project and the resource inside that project. You can provision that using Deployment Manager, and it is very declarative. It supports two options. You can write it in Python, or you can write it in a templating language called as Ginger. So Ginger 2, there are two options for you. It's very declarative and very descriptive, I would say. And the most important thing of that deployment manager is you can do multiple times parallel deployments, like repeated deployments you can do. So that's your infrastructure as a code. That's what I would say. And there is a GitHub page where Google Cloud has already uploaded sample files. So today what we'll try to do is we'll try to provision a single virtual machine using this deployment manager. So you should be able to see various tabs under this. This is the one which we are going to try today, where we will have a single virtual machine with a data disk, and we'll see how easy it is to provision. And we will use Ginger, but the preference which Google mentions is to use Python, but my preference is Ginger, because if you're coming from a non-programming background, Ginger templating makes very easy for you to understand. For example, if you just go click on this, this is how the YAML file looks like, where you mention what is a resource in which zone you want to provision, and most of the heavy lifting steps are mentioned in the template, which you can get it by clicking on this VM underscore template Ginger, where it mentions all the details. So it creates a data disk with the name data disk hyphen what is the name of your deployment, and it's all templatized here. So if it is in two flower brackets, it's called as templates here. So it's parameterized, and it's going to create me a virtual machine which will have some Python stuffs listening on port 8080, and it will have a data disk. So that's what we are going to do in our demo today. To run the deployment manager, you can use the command cloud shell environment, and you can use this command gcloud deployment manager deployments, the name of the deployment. This is important because it will take this name and it will create a data disk. If you see here, it will use that name to create the data disk. And similarly, the name of the virtual machine would be something based on this. So your name of the virtual machine would be VM hyphen your deployment manager, the deployment's name. So it will be like VM hyphen learn GCP with Mahesh hyphen DM. That would be our virtual machine's name. And we are mentioning the template using this template parameter, and this is parameterizing it. So you don't need to edit anything. You just send in which zone you want to provision it. So let's try to execute this. So once you hit it, you should get two resource getting provision. So it's telling it's not able to read it. No worries. If you just see this thing, okay, we are not in the right folder. So what we need to do is we need to go into Ginger, and if we put ls, we should see all those stuffs. Let's rerun it again. This time it should be able to run. It will read the template and it's going to provision two resources for us. One is a virtual machine and another one is a data disk. So both will be created in one single command. So that's the advantage of deployment manager. You can start deploying as simple as a virtual machine and create complex stuff. Entire project itself you can provision it using deployment manager. And this is Google's native one, and if you want something cloud agnostic, you can use products like Terraform. Let's wait for a minute here for the resource to be provisioned. You see that already get provision VM hyphen the name of the stubs. Looks like it is provisioned. 2 more minutes so that we can get our data disk also created. So let's wait for that. Okay, looks like it is almost getting completed. Good. So at the end, if everything is successful, it is going to tell us what are the resource which is created. So this is the data, this is the VM hyphen, and the data disk. If you want to explore this, just go to disks and you should see two entries. One is your boot disk and another one is your data disk. You see that? So data disk is your data disk and this one is your boot disk. So this is how easily you can provision resource with a single command. Very easy. That's what I would say. But this is the advantage. Now, what's the drawback of using deployment manager? This is nothing to do with deployment manager. Any configuration tools, if you are using products like Terraform or uh, Puppet Chef, everything will have the same drawbacks, but we'll see that in deployment manager today. So what we can do is we can run this command, remove these steps. We have provisioned two resource, and if you want to do this delete of those resource, you have to at least run two commands if you are using a normal gcloud command. But with this deployment manager, what you can do is if you have the right access, you can just do something like this, delete, and you can send a flag quiet without, sorry, it has to be quiet. If you do this without even prompting for anything, it is going to delete all the two resources, your virtual machine and your disk. So this could be a potential risk. So if you give everybody more privilege like editor rules, then definitely you will fall into a issue like this where somebody comes and right away deletes it. You see the resource is almost getting stopped. It should be deleted in a minute or so. So one shot, one command, just send delete the name of the deployment and quiet. Even without asking any prompts, it is going to delete your resource. The resource are almost done. And if you go back, there's no virtual machine. That's what you see here. And if you see under the disk, you should see no disks. Everything is wiped off by with one single command. So how can you avoid this? So definitely this is one of the drawbacks if you don't control your access control, like don't give the right access to the right person. So how can you control that? Just go to cloud IAM and make sure who should get right access to do the deployment. That's the most important part. For example, if you click on add, the roles which you need to give for a specific person or an identity is deployment. So you should see deployment manager. You see various roles. So if you want somebody to just view your deployment, not do any deployments, just give him read only access. Similarly, if somebody wants to run the thing, deployment, give them editor access, deployment manager, editor access. So by controlling this, you can definitely control who can run your deployment and who can delete your requirement, deployment, or who can just view your deployment. So that's the video which I wanted to share today on deployment manager, the pros and cons of the deployment manager, or if you don't use it properly, it could be a risk in the production. You can just run it, delete, the resource will be deleted. So that's the stuff which I wanted to share today. Hope it was helpful. Please let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a video on a specific GCP concept. I'm happy to do that. Thanks for watching.